What is going on? We are back with yet another interview for 99 to Beat. And today I'm joined by such a special guest. Tori is here. Tori, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Lauren?
I'm fantastic. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast, and I can't wait to hear about your experience on the show.
I know. I can't wait to tell you all about it.
Well, let's start here. How did you get cast? Explain to me all of that.
Sure. So I am really big at just scrolling on Instagram when I'm bored. I mean, that's why I am Lucky Tori. When I'm bored and I'm on my phone, I'll enter giveaways through Instagram, and I've won a lot of different things. And a casting ad came up saying, "Are you a charismatic individual? And do you want to be on a game show to compete for some money on a major channel?" And that's all it said. I didn't know what else was in store about it, but I figured, why not? I have nothing to lose. You got to be in it to win it. So on my off day from work, I decided to submit an application. I submitted a 2-minute video of myself. I filled out some questions that they were asking about me and how I would describe myself with some fun facts. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, I got a phone call, and then the rest was history.
And I love how you said in there, I compete for some money. And then you get there and you find out it's for $1 million, which is not some money.
I remember turning to the person next to me when they said that, and I said, "Well, are they kidding?" But I don't think they are kidding, because Ken is a doctor. Like, I don't think he got the zeros mixed up wrong. So we were under the impression it was going to be 100,000, which is still a lot of money. But when they jumped it up to 1 million, I mean, tears were flowing and emotions were raised, and we were in total shock that this show we were going to be competing on was for $1 million. So, I mean, it's still crazy to think about because nobody was expecting it. And it was a good 10 minutes before we got into the challenge when they dropped that information out on us. So that way we can just go through the emotions, talk about it with others, and think about, like, okay, now we have to get in the zone. This is for real.
They threw you the curveball before the game even started. Let's be clear here.
Yeah. I mean, I think they really wanted to kind of throw out what was on the line for us, so we would try our hardest. I mean, all of us would have anyway for 100,000, but the fact that it was 1 million was insane.
Absolutely crazy. What was your family's reaction to you going on the show?
So my husband was aware, but a few of my family members I didn't tell until the very last second. And my grandmother was praying so hard for me. She didn't want me to go. She was like, "Tori, what if this is human trafficking? Are you for sure this is real? What do you mean you're going to be on a TV show on a major network on Fox, and then it's going to be on Hulu? It just sounds too good to be true. You're going to be traveling to a whole other country alone." She was worried for me. So I had to keep reassuring her, like, "Mem, which is my grandma, it's fine. Like, it's all legit. I have the emails here. It's official. I've been talking to production for a while now. I'm going no matter what. And you got to wish me luck to win." So besides her, everybody else was really hopeful for me. They think that I, actually really do have a shot in this. And they hope I come home with some money.
That's how it always is. They want you to bring home the money.
Yep.
All right. So I really want to start with, you're in the arena. You're standing next to your circle people. And the game is moments from beginning where you see all those balloons up in the sky. And then they explain what the game is. And then all you hear is the buzzer go off. Walk me through it.
I don't like that moment, because when we find out what the game is, we have a little bit of time to strategize on what we're going to do. And the whole time that you're waiting, your heart is pumping more and more. You're, thinking in your mind what's going to happen. You're second guessing yourself. Like, I was getting stressed out. And so you go from that to when you hear the huge alarm with the reds flashing lights and then it changing. And you're like, wow, okay, I got to run as fast as I can. It felt like the Hunger Games. And you just don't want to come in last. So I'm running up to the balloons, trying to get mine. And as I'm popping them, there's so much confetti on the ground. So I would stomp on them and I wouldn't even know if I had a lay or not. So I kind of had to grab a few as I could and move them to the side where nobody else was trying to get any balloons. So that way no one would snatch mine. And I would be able to see if there was a lay on the ground when I popped it.
Which I thought your strategy was excellent because you separated yourself from the entire crowd and then there's no confetti there so you can actually see it.
I could
Because
see.
right, some people, they would pop a balloon and there is one in there, but they couldn't see it and it landed on the ground. And that's where you see all the chaos with people getting them off the ground and not even popping the balloon to get it.
And that could have very well happened to me because that wasn't my initial strategy. When the alarm went off and I went running, I tried popping as many as I could, as quick as I could, and I would pop and it would go on the ground and I wouldn't be able to tell if I had one or not. So that's why I said, let me grab a few, run to the side where nobody else is, where there's not any confetti. And I happened to grab two, and then maybe it worked, maybe it didn't.
You're like, I'm out. I'm good. I'm all set. I can watch the rest of the chaos go through with everybody.
Such a relief just getting through. I mean, this is where the emotional roller coaster is. So you go from the anticipation of what the game is going to be, then they tell you it, then you have a while to strategize, then the bell goes off and you're panicking, your heart is racing, and then you make it through. It's euphoria, you're cheersing, you've never felt so good and proud of yourself, and then you go straight into, okay, what's the next game going to be?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I have to ask about this moment. When Janice goes down, what was your reaction? Because I kid you not, as a viewer watching that, I said, holy shit, this is real.
Yeah, it happened so fast. I mean, all of our eyes were pierced on the people that were left. And it looks like that they just collided straight into each other. And we didn't know what those initial injuries were or if the game was going to get paused, but it just kept going. And they seemed like they were all right and they were battling it out to the end. So we were just kind of watching and seeing what was going to happen next. We didn't know really what to expect after that.
It was such a banger for the very first challenge that y'all had, where you sit there and say, my goodness, people are flopping to the ground. Like, it's serious, folks.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was just thankful that I didn't get bruised in the middle of it all. It seemed like a lot of people were trying as hard as they can to get balloons and pop. And I mean, there were some instances where people's lays were getting taken right out of their hands. So the game was on for $1 million once they announced that. I mean, people were taking it really hard and it got real quick.
Absolutely. I want to dive into the next one, which is the ice, because we see a variety of different strategies and some strategies where they were hilarious to watch. This was probably my favorite one to watch just because of the craziness of every scenario someone else was doing a different thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was so fun to just look around and pause for a moment as you're trying to melt this huge block of ice the size of a brick and seeing what people are doing. I was sitting right next to Richie, and in case you know who Richie is, he's the one that's doing this,
Yes.
doing
Yes.
that, and I'm looking over at him. I'm like, oh, I mean, at least it's working for you. And then you look around and you see people rubbing it on their belly. You see people jumping on it, using their mouth. I specifically wanted to use my mouth because I had a feeling that maybe this game was going to happen for us since I watched the UK version of the show and the game also happened for that. And I asked ChatGPT, what is the best method to melt a block of ice with only using your body? And it replied saying your mouth is the best because your body does not get as hot or it takes a lot slower and you have the risk of your hands freezing up. And it was just better for the mouth. And I also saw the winner from the UK version of the show had made a video talking about that game. And she had said she had really bad sunburn at the time. So she thought it was going to be a really easy game for her because her body was extra heated. And she said it took so long. It really wasn't working. And so that's why I decided to use my mouth strategy with putting socks on my hands. So that way my hands wouldn't freeze up as hard.
You did your homework. That's what you have to do before you come to some of these games. But also, it is difficult because this is the first US version. So obviously, it's not going to be the exact game. And that's why I like these concepts of games because it's forever changing. We can see this time and time again just with different people playing.
Oh, of course. I mean, and even with the first game with the lays and the balloons, the UK versions was completely different. They were blindfolded and they had to find a yoga ball that looked like a huge blown up balloon. So that's kind of what I was expecting. And then that didn't happen, but I was glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, some strategies with the ice, I'm like, people, we got to go here. And, you have everyone yelling from the sidelines, use this strategy, use that strategy. What is it like being on the sidelines, rooting for specific people?
I was rooting for my girl Tammy. I noticed was having a difficult time rubbing it on her arms, on her forehead, just all over the place. And I was cheering her on because I was right next to her friend Jim. And so I was telling her, lick it, lick and blow, Tammy. Kind of forgot I said that until it aired on the show. Never thought I'd be telling a 70-something-year-old woman to lick and blow, but there's that. And then right away she started listening to me and she started using her mouth. And then I guess it works for some people and it works for not other people.
Well, I guess if you haven't been using the strategy from the get-go, and then once you implement it, if someone had already been doing something better at that point, they're going to get it out quicker.
Yeah, I mean, it was so last minute and it came down to the very last few people.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Which, as a viewer, we love because it just makes it so much more intense.
Mm-hmm. I know, and that's what's so hard. Like a lot of the people that I was really close with, not just Tammy, but Arvin was also at the bottom of that game, and I was cheering him on too. Like you kind of feel bad just cheering and rooting on for one person because both of these people are friends, and it's like, how do you pick one over the other? So what the show didn't show everybody is that I was yelling for Arvin and Tammy back and forth, and that seemed to be the case for everybody else. But I guess Lick and Blow made it on screen.
I mean, they weren't going to pass up that opportunity. But going back to this, you have so many different groups. You have some groups of 8 to 10 people, and they're cheering for one person, then another pocket is cheering for another, which I find so refreshing because, at least people, if they're in that critical environment trying to get through the game, they know there's specific people still rooting for them, and it's not everyone taking one person's side and leaving someone in the background.
Right. That wasn't the case at all. The cast was really great when it came to people being at the bottom and making sure that everybody wasn't shouting for just one person, because you imagine yourself at the bottom, mm-hmm. right? What if you're almost dead last and everybody's cheering on the other person and not you? How would that make you feel?
It would be tough. So that's what I was saying. It's very good that the cast all kind of came together and was cheering and very supportive of everybody. We love to see that.
For
all
sure.
right, let's dive in to the weight. I know we don't really need to talk too much about this, like figuring out how much everything weighed, because you got through the first initial round, correct?
Yep. Very first. Always go with the majority. I mean, when you see a huge group of people going in the box, you want to be with them, because if you guys are all wrong, then it's not that bad. Since there's so many people in the box, you just do it again. I didn't want to be an outlier in that game. And when I got through right away, I was cheering on the rest of my friends that were still left. And what I was saying to people was, based on what I was thinking, if the middle box was already the first option that was correct, and you move on to the next one, which so happened to be the ref standing out, you can't go in the middle box again. Mm-hmm. I felt like they weren't going to use the same box in a row twice, or they were trying to essentially use all three boxes. So if the middle being the first one to go through, you want to go all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And then whichever one it wasn't, you want to go to that box next. So that would have been my initial strategy for it. But luckily I advanced right away through, and I had some friends of mine listen to me and they were able to get through too.
Yeah, your strategy was fantastic, because you always go with the majority in that aspect, because then if everybody in that box is wrong, everybody there has to play again. So your odds of staying
Right.
are much higher versus if you're in the minority in some of the other toolboxes. I think it came down to 28 people after that first round or something. And
Right.
so then from there, you have much lower odds of staying.
You have a 1 in 28 chance of being eliminated. And so with majority of people in the middle box, of course you want to be with the middle. And if everyone feels good about it, then you should too.
I have to ask, everyone kept saying, oh, the firefighters, they have to be good at this game. They have to be the ones to do this. And then you just see time and time again, it's just not landing.
It was shocking and frustrating at the same time because I'd imagine too, yeah, I mean, they carry a lot of weight on them and they're strong people, so they got to kind of somewhat be good at it, right? That's what people were saying, but it was quite shocking that they did make it in the bottom. Luckily they didn't go home, but it could have easily been one of them if it was wrong slip-ups.
Definitely. And then especially when the referees came out, they're like, they got this one. It's so solid. And then
Oh, I know.
it's so interesting too when people know other people's occupations, they anticipate that they're going to be good at a certain thing and then they end up not being. But then when you think they're going to be bad at it, they're actually really good at it.
Funny you said that because we had a guy on the show named Leo and he was like the animal expert. That's what people were saying. He knew a lot about animals. And when this game was announced, we thought they were going to be bringing out all different animals. So they had asked us the day before, is anybody allergic to a certain animal? I think it was like a cat or something. And they said there's not going to be a cat on set, but we just need to know if you are allergic to this type of animal, please come see us. And that got me thinking like, well, why would they ask us about that? So I, ChatGPT, my best friend, I asked it, if you're allergic to cats, what other types of animals could you be allergic to? And a few came up like pigs, cows, sheep, and a few others. So I memorized, I still remember to this day, 500, 800 pounds, 1800 pounds. And I kept that in the back of my mind in case those animals came out that I knew the weight range it would be in. And then when they pulled the refs out, I was like, oh, that is not what I was expecting. And they had the cactuses out. That was not what I was expecting. And then at the end, they did have the big reveal of the camel coming out. And that was pretty shocking because of how huge it was.
Mm-hmm. It was massive.
It fell in the back of my mind.
Yeah, that camel was massive when it came out. I said, okay, this is the animal we're going with.
Yeah, it was huge. And then we got really quiet on set too because we didn't want to have to scare it or anything. And it came out, it made its appearance. It got a little bit of the tummy rumbles. I guess it was nervous, so it got a little smelly, but we respected the animal space.
I would be nervous too if I was the camel because there's so many people in here.
I had tummy rumbles right next to it, so I can't complain.
All right, let's move on to the penne because this one was very intense. We had the huge nail biter at the end as well. So where do you want to start about the penne?
When I heard that this was going to be a game, I was a little bit nervous. I get nervous for everything, but it's because I care. But when the game started, I was able to get it pretty quickly on. They didn't really show it for this game for me, but I was able to line up the pennies in 2 groups of 3. And I got it done fairly fast. I want to say I made top 20 of getting done first. And then I went to the sidelines. I was cheering on the rest of my friends. And then the people at the end, it was so tough to watch because the game went on for so long. And you could tell that they were getting more and more tired as they were doing it. The lights from the studio were really hot. And just time and time again, either a spaghetti pasta would break or, they would fall off and you have to start all over again. It was hard to watch.
Being in that position too for that amount of time as well, I can only imagine because, you had some people squatting, your head is tilted all the way back. That's a lot of pressure on your neck,
Yeah, I mean, in the moment, I wasn't even thinking about that. I really felt the temperature with the heat beating down on me from those lights and just doing my best. I went down below on my knees so that way I can be below table level. And that seemed to be what helped the most. And I just felt my heart racing, and you're trying to stay like as still as possible. I was really paranoid that I would accidentally use my hands because you weren't allowed to use them at all. So I always was really conscious about that. And I kind of just kept them behind my back to make sure I wouldn't instinctively try to go move anything. And it worked for me.
So you could position the penne anywhere you wanted on the table, correct?
Yep. You can position it any way you wanted to, a row, you could do it one behind the other. Some people, I believe, tried to line up all 6 of them and get it on the first try. I haven't heard of anyone being successful about it going that way, but maybe they did. I just know the strategy that worked for me was putting it in 2 rows of 3 and taking my time. That's another thing about the show. Like when you are in the challenge and you hear people cheering because they just got through, in your mind, it sounds like a lot of people are getting out and, oh, I must be automatically at the bottom.
Right.
But with 100 contestants, I mean, you can hear a lot of woos and cheering of people that made it safe, and you still have a lot of cushion time left for the game. So even though I felt like, oh, I got to rush, I got to be faster, you didn't necessarily need to unless you looked around and you saw you were like bottom 10, then it was a time to get going.
Right. You really have to just stay focused on yourself, because if you're listening to too many voices, or if you're seeing other people cheering, as you said, you can start to get a little paranoid. Am I creeping towards the bottom? But yeah, it's so obvious when there's, bottom 10 left there. And that's where it really heats up for people.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to have that feeling, but it's true. Like, even if you were doing fairly well and you were, in the top percentage or middle percentage when you finish the game, if you're not looking around and you don't see that, you're mentally thinking, I got to pick up the pace. Like, too many people are getting through. Why am I not getting through yet? So you get a little bit of paranoia when playing these games.
The other thing is, too, you could really crush one of these games and then be in the bottom of the next one. That's why it's so unique, because some people excel at one, some people excel at another, and just one small slip, you're eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give anything away about my game. You're gonna have to watch this season to see how it all folds, but you're completely right. I mean, one game doesn't dictate the next. So if somebody is getting through fairly easy in each game, and then suddenly, whoa, this one game comes in and you're just having a really hard time doing one of the things you need to do, it can slow you down and easily put you at the bottom. And some of these games too are like, you don't even think about it twice. There's nothing to even strategize about the game. You just kind of have to do it and wait till you finish it. But it's tough. Like it makes you feel like, okay, this is easy because anybody can do it, and you have the opportunity of getting through. I mean, you just have to be one person, right? Because the last person gets eliminated. So that was something I kept saying over and over in my mind too. I just have to beat one person. Majority is in my favor, percentage wise, probability wise. And that's what kept me going. That's what kept me like motivated and feeling good about myself while playing.
And then we get to the teams.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it's difficult, because prior to, you're counting on you and you alone. But then when you get in the team, it takes just one person to throw the team off, and then it's a disaster.
Yeah. And everybody was saying this, that they are completely fine with accepting the fact if they get eliminated on a solo game, they did everything that they could possibly do. The cards just wasn't in their hand. But when it comes to a team game, I mean, looking around at your team, relying on everyone, knowing that you could have done everything possible. And if you just so happen to be on another team, you could have gotten through. But because you were put on this team, that was a losing team, then you and everybody else is going home, getting eliminated. And I did not want that to happen to me. My team and I kicked it in gear. I was Team Orange, so I played in the second heat. And a few of my members were Danny. She was on Survivor. Carlene, Hadia. I mean, we really kicked it into gear, and we knew that we just had to keep getting more and more water immediately, taking it, passing it, taking it, passing it. There should never be a time where you're waiting for water. It should
Right.
just naturally going and going and going. And we stayed focused, determined. We were in constant communication. If anything needed to change, get lower, get higher, eye level. And we came in first place. So we were so happy. Of course, the nerves were there before, but once you get through, there's no feeling like that where you're cheersing, celebrating. One of the contestants on our team went in the water pail and dumped his entire body in it like he was bathing in it and was just splashing up water of all of us. I mean, we were having a great time.
Y'all were having a great time, but yellow and purple, not so much.
No. And I had friends on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made it so hard. So when it came to the final two competing, I was really close friends with Aggie and Julian, the married couple.
Yep.
And Julian was on one side, and then I was really good friends with Avery and Morgan. And Avery is the sister of David, who was cheering on his sister. And we were in a big friend group on the show. So it was really hard to root for either this team or that team. I was just shouting everybody's names, to do your best. But when watching, it was really tough because one team was so ahead of the other, and you could tell the other team was giving up. And that's why David was crying for his sister, because he could see that it's just a long shot of them advancing. And it's tough because then you're saying goodbye to 12 people, not even just one person, but 12 people within the first episode. And nobody wanted that to happen to them. And it has to happen to some team.
Oh, yeah. And there's just huge emotion there because you have people there playing with family, playing with loved ones. And then you also have the singles coming in, and you came in as a single, correct?
Correct.
So talk to me about coming in as a single versus having somebody there with you.
So I went in alone. My goal was to just make as many friends as possible, use this as a cool bonding opportunity to meet people that I wouldn't ever be able to meet. You're meeting people all across the country. And when I fly in, I don't know what to expect because it's just me. And I immediately meet people at the airport. The first people that I met were Tommy and Phil, father and son duo. And so I'm like, oh, wow, there seems to be quite a few duos. Because when we got to the hotel, there was a family of over 12 that were all competing together. And I'm like, well, that's not really fair because they have a 12 out of 100% chance of one of them winning. And someone solo like me has a 1 in 100% chance of winning. But I mean, when you really get to talk to these people and see what everyone's in it for and get to know them on such a personal level, like you weren't really thinking about it in groups that much in that way. They become more like your family, and you're cheering them on when you get through because you want it for your friends too. Not as much as you want it for you, but very close. If it couldn't be me winning, I would want one of them that I've met to win. But yeah, seeing brothers and sisters. There was a dad and daughter duo, father and son duo, married couple, 2 coworkers, the firefighters.
Yep.
I mean, there were a lot of different groups that came together, and that I wasn't really expecting, but it was cool.
It is, because you get to meet so many different people with so many different backgrounds and various states, locations. It's awesome.
Yeah, when I told my husband about all the groups, he was like, oh, I should have tried to apply and taken off of work, because he would have, but with his job, it's so hard for him to. But then he said to me, we would have had, a 2 out of 100 chance. So our odds would have been higher than just you going solo.
It does help when you have better odds. It's always better.
Exactly. But of course, he couldn't get off of work for it, but I would have loved that.
Well, Tori, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been absolutely fantastic. Is there anything you would like to plug before we wrap up?
Oh, we'll definitely watch 99 to Beat every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. There's going to be some really exciting games that are coming up this Wednesday, and some of them you have probably never heard of before, have never seen anything like it before. And cheer me on, because you never know if I'm going to get eliminated this next upcoming episode, or if I'm going to make it far, or if I'm going to be the winner. So you'll have to stay tuned to find out.
And stay tuned, we will. Well, Tori, once again, thank you so much for joining me.
Of
Everyone, be sure to check out everything going on at the Reality After Show. I will be back with more 99 to Beat interviews with contestants, and I'm sure I'll have Tori back for another time this season as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Everyone else, take care.